Not going anywhere.
Good morning. Welcome, everyone. I see we have quorum, and I'll call this meeting to order. Just before we start, it's actually a terrible morning with the loss of 63 Canadian lives last night in the Iranian air crash overnight, and I'm going to ask for a minute of silence in memory of the 63 Canadians. Thank you. I'd also like to pass our condolences on behalf of my colleagues and staff to our colleague Michael Ford, who's not here this morning, on the loss of his grandmother, Diane Ford, and I'll be passing on to Michael later on. Okay, we'll now go through the items. Oh, sorry, hang on. I'll now take a motion to confirm the minutes from December 3rd, 2019, moved by Councilor Nunziata. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Are there any petitions at this time? Seeing none, we'll now go through the agenda. 12.1, final report, 4700 Keele Street, the Quad Phase 2 zoning bylaw amendment application. Are there any speakers on the item? 4700 Keele Street, item number 1. Any speakers? Seeing none, Councilor Perruzza.
Sure, Mr. Chair.
I believe there's the clerks may have a slight amendment to the report.
Do we have one? Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, what you have, I guess we're not going to get a presentation or anything on this, right? No, not at all. Okay. Are you guys all good with it? You.
Yeah, just do your amendment.
Sure. There's the, can we just stand this down for a second and so I
You'd be
can
done
read
by
this?
now if it wasn't for you, Councilor Perruzza. We'll hold it down.
Sure.
.2 preliminary report, 1956, 1966, 1970, 1972, 1974, 1976, 1978, 1980, 1982, 1984, 1986 Weston Road and One Little Avenue official plan and zoning bylaw amendment application. Councilor Nunziata.
Yes, thank you. So I do have a motion we can put on the screen. I have an additional recommendation as well. Okay, for further consultation meeting.
Okay. Everybody good with that? All in favor? Opposed, carried. Clause amended. All in favor? Opposed, carried. Item is amended. 12.3, renaming of Dunbloor Road. Councilor Deputy Mayor Hall, did you move that on my behalf, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Happy to move the staff recommendations.
Deputy Mayor Hawley moves the recommendations. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. 12.4, pedestrian crossover, Guns Road, 125 meters west of Weston Road. Councilor Nunziata.
Yes, so I do have the motion. So it's basically supporting the staff recommendation.
No, you're going against the staff recommendations. You're striking out the staff recommendations and moving approval?
Yes,
You're striking out the staff?
yes, and moving approval.
All in favor? Opposed? Carries. 12.5, proposed installation of traffic control signals, Eglinton Avenue West, west of Pearen Street. Councilor Nunziata?
Move the staff recommendation.
Councilor Nunziata moves the staff recommendations. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. 12.6, lane designation, Old Stockyards Road and private driveway access to Home Depot. Councilor Nunziata.
Move staff recommendation.
Move the staff recommendations. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. 12.7, speed limit amendment, Wendell Avenue between Gary Drive and Queensley Avenue. Councilor Nunziata.
So I do have
It's all going on in your ward today.
Huh? I know. 12.7. So to reduce the speed limit from 40 to 30.
That's the recommendations, right?
It's in, yeah.
That's the staff,
Yeah.
okay. All in favor? Opposed? That carries. 12.8, traffic calming Clearview Heights between Trethewey Drive East intersection and Trethewey Drive West intersection. Councilor Nunziata,
I have a motion.
let me guess, you're striking out the staff recommendations?
Yeah.
And approving? All in
I'm
favor?
asking for a poll to be done. Okay.
All in
Can I
favor?
be recorded against?
Recorded vote. All in favor? Councilor Nunziata, Councilor Grimes, Councilor Perruzza? You in favor?
To do a poll.
Doing a poll?
Doing a poll.
Francis. The speed humps.
I'm moving to do a poll. Okay.
Councilor Perruzza? Opposed? Deputy Mayor Holliday, that carries. 12.9, standing prohibition, VLS Street. Councilor Nunziata.
Yes, I have a motion to defer consideration of this item to its meeting in February.
So Councilor Nunziata moving to deferral till next day. All in favor?
And I
Opposed?
believe the staff have the
Carried.
motion. Yeah.
12.10, parking regulation amendments, Avon Avenue between Avon Crescent and Humber Boulevard South Branch. Councilor Nunziata.
Move staff recommendation.
Councilor Nunziata moves to staff recs. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. 12.11, parking regulation amendment, Betty Nagel Street. Councilor Perruzza.
I'm happy to move that.
Councilor Perruzza moves to
Mr.
staff
Chairman,
recs. All in favor?
And with,
Opposed? Carried.
accommodations to staff for all the work they did on this. They did a considerable amount.
Thanks to staff. Duly noted.
Gina,
12.12,
she's-
parking regulation amendment, West Dean Park Drive between the East Mall and Rabbit Lane. Deputy Mayor Holliday.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wish to move the staff recommendations.
Deputy Mayor Holliday moves to staff recs. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. 12.13, appointments to Emery Village Business Improvement Area Board of Management. Councilor Perruzza.
I'm happy to move that, Mr. Chair. As,
Councilor approved the staff recs. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. We have two additional starters, right? 12.14, speed limit amendment, Old Weston Road between Lavender Road and Rogers Road. And 12.15, Councilor Holliday, he's got a signage for RBC Open. All in favor to add to the agenda. Opposed? Carried. Councilor Nunziata, 12.14.
Yes, I'll move the, reduce the speed limit from 50 to 40 at Old Western Road between Lavender and Rogers. This is where the young boy was hit at that intersection.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. 12.15, Councilor Holliday, signage for RBC Open. The motion is before us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wish to move the recommendation, which I can read out. The Etobicoke York Community Council recognize the public information meetings held by Golf Canada in advance of the RBC Canadian Open 2020 as community events, and notwithstanding the requirements of Chapter 693 signs, subsection 17D5, subsection 24A1, and 24C, permit Golf Canada to erect temporary mobile signs in more than one location and in the right-of-way, subject to the satisfaction of the General Manager of Transportation Services, with a purpose to promote citizen participation in the meetings.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Councilor Perruzza, you ready to deal with number one, I hope?
Yeah, absolutely, Mr. Chair. So, as you can see with the motion that's on the screen, all that does is it takes, I believe it's recommendation 4A, and changes essentially one word from cash to a letter of credit for the art contribution. And that was prepared by our staff, and I'm okay with that, and I'd like to move that. Mr. Chair, the development you have in front of you is really a second phase of a student housing project that is being built up at York University. I have to tell you, when the first phase came in, I was somewhat leery about the concept, because if you take a look at at some of the drawings, they're kind of like they're student rooms with sort of organized around a little common square where they have kitchens and that kind of thing. So But I have to tell you, the first phase was built some time ago. I'm told that it's fully occupied and has been doing quite well. And I think that the second phase is a welcome project as well, both for the university and for the area. So I'm happy to move it in the form that's before you with the change that's proposed.
Thank you, Councilor. Just before we vote on, I think our Director, Neil Cresswell, has a comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Councilor Perruzza, I don't believe you're aware of this. The city staff received an email from the solicitor for York University last night asking for a few revisions to the zoning bylaw. We're not quite sure how this will play out, so what I'd like to do, if you don't mind, please, is beg the forbearance of the committee and ask for 5 minutes to have a quick conversation with the city solicitor, planning staff, and York University just before Community Council approves this, in case we need to make any tinkering to what's in front of you today.
Can I ask you a question? Given that you're recommending that we not move the enacting bills until the precinct plan has been changed as well, right? What's the urgency? Why wouldn't you want to, given that there's a couple of things, and given that this was kind of like dropped on our desk today, and I haven't really sort of had the opportunity to fully digest it, what's the urgency? Why couldn't we set it down for a month or so and think through that? And are you referring to the open space, the open space that they're nervous about us securing by way of easement?
No, that's not it, Councillor. That's one issue, and we have some conversations about that, but it's the actual bylaw itself where the applicant is asking for some changes to the bylaw that is actually in front of you today. And what we want to do is have a conversation with the legal staff as well as York University and the leasee, just to have an understanding of what this means. We believe we might be able to resolve it between now and council, which would require a supplementary report, but we want to make sure that we're all on the same page about how we handle it between now and city council. So this is why I'm asking for
Okay,
just a
so
few-
you're asking to stand this down for 5-10 minutes?
About 5
Okay,
minutes.
you okay with that? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Motion to recess for 10 minutes.
Thank you.
You know what,
Let's vote in the hall.
Okay, I call this meeting back to order, and I'm going to ask our Director of Planning, Mr. Questle, to make a comment. They had a meeting outside, and
Thank you, Mr. Chair. City Legal and City Attorney staff had a conversation with York University and the applicant for the residents. And with the kind of tinkering to the bylaw, we think it would be appropriate now to set aside this, or set this matter back to the next meeting of Community Council to allow staff to review the information that came in over the last couple of days, as well as to address the issue, the motion that Councillor Peruzza put on as well. I think we're comfortable with that, but I think what it will require is a short supplementary report explaining a few changes to the zoning bylaw, which will actually make it more transparent here at Community Council as well as cleaner at City Council.
Okay.
So the applicant has agreed to that.
okay. Councillor Peruzza, you can move to withdraw your
I'll do
motion?
that. So I'll move to withdraw the motion I made and move a subsequent motion that basically says that the Etobicoke York Community Council defer consideration of this item to its meeting on February 5th, 2020.
Okay, so on the motion to withdraw, all in favor? Opposed, carried. On the motion to defer till next day, all in favor? Opposed, that is carried. I believe that is everything. Is that correct? Councillor Nunziata, you have a motion to introduce and enact certain bills.
That the Etobicoke York Community Council pass and declare as bylaws Bills 1 to 5, correct? Prepared for the January 1 to, I can't read that. 1 to 6, prepared for the January 8, 2020 meeting, 12 of the Community Council, excluding Bill 6.
Shall these bills be passed and declared as bylaws? All in favor? Opposed, carried. Councillor Holliday, you have a motion to introduce and enact confirming bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, that the Etobicoke York Community Council pass and declare as a bylaw a confirmatory bill to confirm the legislative proceedings of the Etobicoke York Community Council acting under delegated authority at meeting 12 on January 8, 2020.
Shall this bill be passed and declared as a bylaw? All in favor? Opposed, carried. Ben, what'd I tell you? Nice and easy in the west. Motion to adjourn by Ben. All in favor? Opposed, carried.
I might have a motion for you. There's a guy in Parks and Rec that passed away. Aquatics. Sudden heart attack. It was actually sad. I was supposed to meet with him this week.